Mortgage payments are swallowing more than half of the typical Ontario family's income, and in the GTA, it's actually over 110%. Today, I'm actually going to break down what this means for buyers and renters and the future of housing, in my own opinion. In a new report shows every major city in Ontario has crossed the affordability red line. And if you're ever wondering whether things are going to get better or worse, the numbers speak for themselves and Canadians are upset. So when a mortgage payment demands more than your groceries, your transportation, your childcare combined, you know we've hit a crisis point. And let's be honest, we've hit a crisis point a long time ago. I want to unpack the data without all the hype. If you're new here, my name is Alex. I work with clients all across Ontario on the mortgage side, and on the real estate side of things, I focus on the GTA, specifically Oakville and multiplexes. And if you find this helpful, hit the like and subscribe button and turn that little bell thing on so you don't miss any updates. If you want to have a chat with me, just click the link below and book directly in my calendar. So we're going to be diving into a new report that is making waves. Mortgage payments for a typical home now exceed 50% of the after-tax family income in every major Ontario urban center. But for Toronto, it's over 110%. And no, it's not a typo. And yes, we're going to walk through those numbers and how they're calculated and what it actually means for you. We'll look at the latest housing data nationally and across Ontario and break down the affordability ratios city by city and talk about what it means for buyers, sellers, investors, and landlords and renters. So let's get into it. But before we dive in to the affordability report, here's what where the market stands right now. National homes remain sluggish, and we all know that, even after multiple Bank of Canada rate cuts. Average prices in many parts of Canada have softened, but not enough to offset the high borrowing costs. And in the GTA, the benchmark price is technically down year over year, with condos seeing some of the sharpest corrections. Inventory is rising all across Ontario and Canada, but buyers are still constrained by that stress test requirement and stagnant wage growth. Prices may be cooling, but affordability is honestly not improving, okay? Let's just talk real here. Mortgage payments are now over 50% of income in every single Ontario city, and a new analysis of Ontario's 14 largest urban centers show that mortgage payments for a typical home now consume more than half of the median family's after-tax income. So let's look at how this is calculated. 20% down payment, which most people don't have when they're buying a small house, 25 years amortization, current mortgage rates, and that's what we're going to use. And a typical homes means it's represented by the local market. And when you apply that formula across the province, the results are honestly startling. Every single city, from Toronto to Ottawa to Windsor to Sudbury, crosses that 50% threshold. And Toronto leads the list at 110.2%. That means even with the typical family income and a standard down payment, the mortgage alone would exceed the household's after-tax income. And this doesn't even include property taxes, utilities, transportation, groceries, childcare, debt payments, insurance. And if you ever wondered why first-time homebuyers feel like the system is impossible, this is why. But here's the surprising part. It's not just a Toronto problem anymore. It's a whole country problem. Cities like Hamilton, London, Kingston, which shocked me, Kitchener-Waterloo, Guelph, St. Catharines and Niagara, Oshawa, all have affordability ratios above 50%. Even traditionally, more affordable markets like Windsor and Sudbury are now past that threshold. This makes a dramatic shift in Ontario's housing landscape. 10 years ago, you could find pockets of affordability, and today, secondary markets are beyond the typical reach, and it is pissing us Canadians off. Why is everything so expensive? Why are the ratios so high? Several factors. Mortgage rates remain high, and 4% really is not that high, even when the Bank of Canada has now cut rates, and we are seeing rates in the threes. Home prices haven't fallen enough, and yes, they are down from that COVID peak, which the prices should have never got there anyways, but the prices haven't fallen nearly enough to offset the higher borrowing cost. And a $700,000 home at a 5.5% interest rate is far more expensive than a $900,000 home at a 1.5% interest rate. And let's be honest, wage growth is steady, but nowhere close to matching what it costs to live. Also, add on top of all of that, the stress test qualifications. Even though the purpose is for stability, it pushes borrowers to prove they can handle rates 2% higher than what they're actually getting, which I get during COVID, it kind of proved a point, but let's be honest, it sucks when you're trying to qualify. Okay. So what does this mean for buyers right now? If you are hoping to buy a home in Ontario, the numbers can really feel discouraging, but there are some practical takeaways here. Market conditions favor patient buyers, okay? With more listings and slower sales, buyers do have more leverage than they had 2 years ago. And budget realism is key. Understanding what you can afford, not the max you can qualify for. So if you're looking to get pre-approved, do a full budget on your whole monthly cost. Rate cuts will help gradually, but not instantly. So it is a huge affordability swing. Pre-approvals do matter, so work with a mortgage advisor who can actually structure your application to maximize flexibility and work with, like I said, a full budget, not just your mortgage and property taxes. Now, if you're a seller, pricing strategy is huge because buyers are payment driven right now. Your home must show well and be competitively priced. Expect longer days on market compared to the 2021 beginning 2022 frenzy, but understand buyers are on such a payment restriction. So they will only offer what they can actually afford. So what does this mean for investors and landlords? Cash flow is tight in most Ontario markets at today's rate, but buy and hold investors should focus on fundamentals like rental demand, job growth, long-term value. So what does this mean for renters? High mortgage to income ratios suggest that households will remain renters for longer. So this puts pressure on the rental demand, but with new construction slowly rising, competition may gradually increase. So rent versus buy calculators strongly favor renting for many households today because buyers are just out of reach right now. If you're navigating this market, whether you're buying or refinancing, or just trying to plan ahead, I can help you explore your mortgage options anywhere in Ontario. And if you're looking specifically in Oakville, give me a call because that's my area. But that's it for today. And the one last thing that I wanted to point out is when you are doing a pre-approval or a mortgage application at all, lenders look at gross income. So we need to focus on your net income. What are you taking home at the end of the day? And can you afford that for your mortgage payment, your taxes, your groceries, your car payment, your insurance, and everything, okay? So when you're working with a mortgage professional, make sure they're doing a full monthly budget for you, not just giving you an approval based off what you can qualify on your income. So if you liked this video, please hit that like and subscribe button and leave your comments below. I want to know what you think about today's affordability and how you really feel.